This is the face of the most powerful person in the gaming industry. And this is the logo of the largest gaming platform in history. And last month, this platform set a new record. More than 41 million people were online simultaneously on Steam. This is the population of a large European country, and this is a number that no other gaming platform can approach and never will. But why? Why can other services have exclusive games that can only be played on their platforms, while others give away a bunch of crap for free every week and still can't impose any competition on a platform that just exists? And the craziest thing here is that it's all down to one person. Of course, if you consider yourself a gamer, you know him. But I'm pretty sure you don't realize how much Gabe Newell has influenced PC gaming. In some ways, you could even say that he's the reason we play on Windows and not on Mac or any other systems. And I'm not even exaggerating here. The 80s of the last century. Technology is developing rapidly, and Gabe enters Harvard to study computer science. But as befits a future billionaire genius, he never graduates and joins Microsoft. If you drop out of college to pursue your dream, you'll probably end up working at Starbucks with huge student loans, but when a person like Newell drops out, he starts working on the first versions of Windows and has a significant impact on the process. But the key event happened in 1995, an event that can be considered the birth of PC gaming as a phenomenon. Like many people at the time, Gabe was a big fan of 1993's Doom. At the time, the main operating system at the time was MS-DOS. A gray, uncomfortable shit with no icons and pastel colors, but it held a monopoly on PCs at the time. However, Newell, a man with a sense of taste and style, realized that people needed something more colorful and saw the potential in both games as a form of entertainment and Windows as a platform for gaming. So he decided to lead the creation of a port of Doom, a game he loved, for a future version of Windows. His team created new libraries and APIs that help achieve better graphics and performance. And eventually, these tools evolve into DirectX, the same one we all install before running our games. After the release of Windows 95 in late 1995, the Doom port was completed. All this motivated Microsoft to position Windows as a key gaming platform. And by the end of the 90s, Windows became the standard for games. So yes, thanks to him, almost all of the games are now released on Windows, not Mac OS. And Gabe could have continued to work at Microsoft, been promoted, and lived a quite comfortable life, having already gone down in history as the father of modern PC gaming. But this was not enough for him. He decided to devote his life to just one thing: the development of the gaming industry. Back in the 90s, Newell realized that the gaming industry would become something much bigger than everyone thought, especially the PC gaming market itself. So, on a gut feeling, he left Microsoft and founded Valve to create his own games. He knew it was a risky decision, but he took it. Valve had several options. The easiest was to make a clone of Doom or Quake. It was the time of arena shooters, when teenagers gathered in computer clubs, drank beer, and competed on local networks. I personally don't know how it all went down, but if you were in those times, leave a comment and tell us how it was. It'll be interesting for us kids to read. But Gabe wanted something different. He was inspired by Doom, but he didn't want another run-and-gun game. He wanted to combine the dynamics with a story, to show that a shooter can have a plot, atmosphere, and depth. This is how Half-Life was born, a game that was a breakthrough. It proved that a shooter can not just be entertainment, but a full-fledged narrative experience. Perhaps this game influenced the way shooters look cinematic. So in the first years of its existence, Valve made history. But it was only just the beginning. Instead of just making sequel after sequel, Valve started buying out the rights to the most popular mods. One of them is Counter-Strike. It was created by two students as an amateur project, but Gabe saw something more in it. And without hesitation, he hired them at Valve. Today, Counter-Strike is not just a game, it is the foundation of competitive gaming. And not just because millions of people play it, but because it is the cornerstone of the ecosystem that Valve has been building for years. Just look at the tournament calendar. Dozens of major events a year, the prize pools are 1 million, 2 million, sometimes even more. $1 million broadcasts, full arenas, world championships. CS has become the football of the online shooter world. But the most important thing is that all of this is supported by Steam. Esports and Valve's support for it is one of the several reasons why Steam remains beyond any competition. Steam is not just a store, it is an operating system for multiplayer gaming. Everything here is tailored to competitive gaming. Stable servers, anti-cheats that don't always work well, It's true. LAN support, built-in tournament tools, custom maps, replays, and the entire infrastructure. Valve didn't just create a convenient environment, it gave the tools to players, and players created an ecosystem. And that's why when other platforms try to launch an esports title, they face one problem. They don't have Steam. And it's not just about CS. This is Dota 2, PUBG, Apex, and even the same games from Ubisoft, EA, and Activision. Players are massively choosing Steam versions because everything is at your fingertips here. Forums, discussions, guides, streams, community, and profile features are all visible to everyone. Right during the match, you can go to your opponent's profile picture and leave an offensive comment that will be visible to everyone, and it's really awesome. Oh my fuck. And the way Steam uses esports and competitive gaming is not even marketing. It's an engagement mechanic. Steam gives you more than any launcher. And this is the most important thing to say. Gabe realized this before anyone else. It's as if he knew that video games would go beyond just home entertainment and would be packed into stadiums and hundreds of millions of dollars in case revenue. He also saw that players would need more than just a platform to buy games. They would need a place to live as players, a community where it is important to have status, achievements, and history. And Steam has become that place. And it all started with a belief in two students in a game that looked like an amateur mod at the time. And in 2000, Counter-Strike was released as a separate product, with support, servers, and anti-cheats. And around it, Valve began to build what we see now. But at the time, Valve had one big problem. They didn't really understand how and where they would sell their games. And then, they solved this problem. Valve started developing Steam in 2002. It was supposed to be a solution to several major problems at once: cheats, updates, mod support, and most importantly, distribution. In other words, raising a lot of money. Back then, no one was seriously thinking about selling games online. The internet was just beginning to enter homes. Gabe looked ahead again, and he said, "We are making a digital platform." The name Steam was chosen as a metaphor for the driving force, like a steam engine. The platform was to accelerate digital game distribution and symbolize the pervasive force that delivers games directly to users. And in 2003, just a year later, Steam was released. The service was far from perfect. It lagged, had limited functionality, and was not well received by players. People didn't want to install any additional programs and didn't want to be dependent on the internet. They were like, "Why do I need this if I can just buy a disc in the store, asshole?" But Gabe didn't care, and he decided to act radically. In 2004, Half-Life 2 was released, one of the most anticipated releases in the history of PC gaming. But there was a catch. To play Half-Life 2, you had to install Steam and activate the game through it. And yeah, this is a bit like what we've seen with Sony's exclusives and their PlayStation Network. But in the case of Half-Life 2, this game was really worth it, and Valve realized that. They knew they had created a real masterpiece, so they decided to take advantage of it. So back then, even if you bought the disc, even if you didn't need the online features, without Steam, the game simply wouldn't run. This decision was absolutely crazy at the time. Not everyone had internet. Many people literally dragged their system units to their friends who had the internet just to activate the game, and then they would turn on Steam's offline mode to play at home. But you know what? It worked. Half-Life 2 was too good of a game to ignore. People accepted it, and in just a few months, Steam started to gain momentum. And over time, players began to realize that an online platform where their games could be stored was actually quite convenient. You could get updates automatically. You could see what your friends were playing. You could buy a game without leaving your home. Steam began to change the very understanding of what game distribution and the gaming community really are. Gabe didn't just create a platform, he created the basic infrastructure for the development of the industry. A platform where ideas could be tested, to make and share fashion, to engage the community, and, most interestingly, to give a portion of the profits to the players themselves. So, in the future, Steam Workshop, profiles, levels, achievements, mod support, and game pages with reviews appeared, all of which appeared gradually. And none of the competitors have all of this. And this is what makes players want to stay on this platform. By 2009, Steam had become the default. If a game was released on PC and it wasn't available on Steam, it was seen as an exception. Players would switch to the platform. The library grew. Developers began to realize that selling games on Steam was not only easier, but also more profitable. But Valve didn't stop there, because in 2012, they introduced one of the most successful monetization mechanics in history, and that was skins. and Steam turned into a real economy. Just remember this picture, which many of you have seen before. Now, the Steam skin market is really the safest investment of your money. But back then, while the whole world was going crazy in movie theaters for the first Avengers and just starting to get used to the digital game distribution, Gabe was already building a new stage of the gaming industry. And he was preparing the next transformation of the gaming market. Steam has never been just a store. It's a whole gaming space where you don't just buy games, you live in them. And Steam knew this before anyone else. Imagine a game that hasn't been released yet, but you can already discuss it on the forums, add it to your favorites, read early reviews, watch fan content, and subscribe to news. It's probably hard for you to imagine because, well, you're already doing it. But man, that didn't exist before, and Steam had to create it. It's thanks to Steam that you can now get instant access when a game comes out. And over time, they gave more and more to their community. In return, the community, no matter how toxic it may be sometimes, has always helped develop this platform. Nowadays, Steam is the only gaming platform where you can find a guide to an achievement that has been annoying you for the past 3 days. You can also check if the game has mods to see if it works on your video card, because someone like you has already tested it and wrote a review. And this model worked so well that even those who left Steam to get the next game from Epic Games, which they gave away for free, eventually came back. Ubisoft, EA, Activision, they all tried to build their own ecosystems at some point, or went to the Epic Games Store, which gives developers more profit by taking only 12% instead of 30%. But something didn't work out, because there's one thing that is really difficult to measure in numbers, and that is trust. Players trust Steam because it has the biggest choice. It has the most discussions, the most convenient refund system, a support service that actually works unlike all other companies. And of course, there are honest discounts. Every few months you go in and see that a game that cost $60 is now $12. And if you bought other parts, Steam will take this into account and reduce the price even more. Valve doesn't have to do this, but they do. And you can also make money on Steam. The items you get in the game are not just decorations, they can be sold. You can exchange them. You can store them. You can just collect a bunch of trading cards from random games, sell them for like $100, buy 40 CS2 case keys with that money, and end up with skins worth $7 in total. Isn't that fucking amazing? This is a real market. Valve was the first in the world to turn mods into skins and skins into an economy, and it still works today. These things create loyalty that cannot be bought with marketing, and Steam understands this. Even in small things, Steam is better than any of its competitors. You can customize your profile, attach screenshots, and put an anime girl next to your avatar. And yes, it is just a UI. But it is your game passport, and Steam allows you to make it unique. And one thing is important here. None of this was mandatory. These were little things that showed we care about you for your couple of bucks. But still, Valve was never forced. Because when everyone else was trying to overtake Steam with exclusives, ads, features, or even aggressive policies, Steam just existed. And it was winning. And probably, as you already understood, the main advantage of Steam, or rather its creator, was not that he seemed to understand what would happen next, what needed to be emphasized, and what needed to be developed right now. And maybe right now, Gabe and Valve already know what the future of the gaming industry will look like and are starting to create it. In fact, Steam is only a piece of the puzzle. The most famous, the largest, the most visible. But what Valve is doing is much more than just selling games. It is a systematic reformatting of the entire industry from the inside. It would seem that after such success, one could just sit back and count the money. But no, Valve went further. First, Steam Deck. Yes, I know. It seemed like a logical step given the popularity of the Nintendo Switch. But this is not just a console. This is your complete Steam library. It's your freedom to play anything while you take a shit. And then there was Valve Index, which was another leap, maybe not a big one, but still. Although, in general, VR is not something that anyone needs right now. But Valve is not about today. Valve is about tomorrow. They made Half-Life Alyx, a game that didn't just use VR, it may have even defined it. A few years ago, in one of his rare interviews, Gabe Newell said that he spends most of his free time studying neurointerfaces. Imagine a game where you literally feel cold, in which the interface appears not on the screen, but in your mind, without VR helmets, no monitors, just like a part of you. Today, it sounds like science fiction. But the modern Steam in 2003 also sounded like nonsense. So did the idea of running a game only through online activation, as well as the skin market, which is more stable than any cryptocurrency and any multi-billion-dollar company. After all, tell a dude from 2003 that you can put an anime character under your icon, and he'll lose his fucking mind. But all of this became a reality because someone believed in it. And that someone was Gabe. And this is where it gets really interesting. He doesn't just create products, he creates platforms. Steam is a platform for developers. Steam Deck is a platform for players. Valve Index is a platform for VR experiments. And what if the next platform is a neural interface? Not a game, not a device. It is an infrastructure that others can fill. When everyone is digging for gold, Gabe sells shovels. You get Half-Life, Portal, Dota, CS, Steam. Maybe someday something else that will change the world. And that's why nobody beats Steam. Because while everyone is trying to overtake today, Valve is already building tomorrow.